The final boss. What it all comes down to. You fought like hell and refused to let anything stop you. And now you stand at the end of your journey, ready to take on the ultimate challenge. What if it isn't that hard? It's not unheard of. Lots of final bosses are piss easy, at least at some point. But that's not a bad thing. Final bosses are not just fights, they're the final fight. Which means their job isn't just to be challenging, their job is to be a send-off. And that's more important. You can make your fight challenging, but if there's nothing else to it, you're not going to be satisfied. That's why I'd like to talk about one of my favorite ways for a game to end. Something easy. It's not hard, but you feel incredible. A Hat in Time is a game I have not given enough praise. It's just so unique, nothing feels like it's been done before. You're telling me this game has you fuel a rivalry between two bird-run film companies? That's awesome. The final boss understands how to make something difficult that feels rewarding before transitioning into something easy. Mustache Girl takes you to the epilepsy zone and gives you the hardest fight in the base game, which requires you to have good knowledge of the movement and the skill to use your friend's counters against her. The music is intense with these gritty electronic sounds that just show how powerful your opponent is and how fucked you are. Until the third phase hits. You get one last cutscene where everyone confronts Mustache Girl before sacrificing themselves so you can beat her. You're swarmed with pawns and notice she's panicking before the music kicks in and... The music is not intense anymore, it's a lighthearted remix of the main theme because you're not fighting anymore. You've already won. This is just your victory lap. It is impossible to die during this phase unless you have one-hit hero equipped. The combination of constant healing and invincibility frames don't let you fail. It's incredibly easy because the player should not feel challenged at this point. You've just had a touching moment where everyone comes together to help you, and now you get to beat up the main villain like it's nothing. Being able to die here could easily mess with that feeling of success you get from being this powerful. A similar example of this would be the Ganon fight from Tears of the Kingdom. Once he becomes a dragon, it's pretty easy to take him on. But unlike the final boss from Breath of the Wild, this is much more cinematic. I'm riding a dragon to fight another dragon. This is awesome. You realistically won't die here, but you feel incredible doing this. And in the last part where you have to catch Zelda, it's actually impossible to fail. No matter how long you fall, you will not hit the ground, because this is even less of a gameplay sequence. This is a cutscene you play so you feel more rewarded than if you just watched a cutscene of Link catching Zelda. There's no challenge, but you feel accomplished. Another game I'd like to bring up is Pizza Tower. It's not a perfect example because there is always a solid chance of dying throughout the entire final boss, but I do feel that it somewhat applies, because the third phase is debatably the easiest. Because these aren't new attacks. It's all shit you've dealt with already. I know these attacks and how to dodge them. Now let me pummel this fucker to death. And once you start to fight Pizza Head in the last stretch, these are not complicated attacks. They're extremely simple and very telegraphed. This is the first time I've played this game in months, and I got hit once during this part on an attack with a pretty slim window. Pizza Tower is not a game that wants you to feel completely unstoppable in the last fight, but it's a game that wants you to beat it on the first time of asking. The final thing I'd like to bring up is Sideorder's Order boss fight, where the entire gimmick for the last phase is to get overpowered. Once you've gotten a single batch of color chips, you're already pretty overpowered, and after 2 or 3, nothing is killing you. And once you have everything, you're even more immortal. You have every single upgrade in the game, and no matter what, you're going to be powerful. As long as you're actually trying, you will not fail in this section. The one thing I would add here would just be another batch of enemies that Order throws at you because they know they're screwed. Getting the killer whale immediately is cool, but I want at least a bit of time to understand just how powerful I am. I've talked about pretty much every game that I wanted to at this point, so here's a bit of a send-off. I like being powerful. Not every game needs to end like this, but it's a great way to. Though you need to put a lot of effort into the music, story, and just everything that sets the vibe of the fight. I don't think being able to two-shot the Spider Mastermind makes it a great way to end things, because the original Doom sets it up to be a difficult enemy. It needs to be a challenging fight for the payoff to work the way they intended it to. I just think this is an underutilized way to make a good ending. Dying in a boss fight can immediately kill all of the suspense and drama of the scene, because it's just going to play out the exact same thing again. Beating a fight on your first attempt means this isn't a problem. Wanting the player to win first try is not a bad thing. Cause really, after hours of fighting to reach the big bad guy and potentially getting your ass beat a couple times, getting powered up to a point nothing is even a challenge and completely demolishing them is amazing. It is incredibly satisfying to go from being stuck in the room with them to them being stuck in a room with you.